Hi, guys. Welcome to Lifted United. I am here with two hilarious romance authors. We have Nikki Payne and Angela Montoya. Give them a hug. I'm going to start off with some introductions and we're going to jump right into these questions. I'm going to make it short and sweet. So, first, we have Nikki Payne. Nikki is the author of Pride and Protest and Sex, Lies, and Sensibility. Her interests include church, cemeteries, I need more information on that, and romance novels. She refers to herself as Jane Austen's best friend. She currently lives in the DC area. Give her an applause. Next, we have Angela Montoya. She's the author of Sinner's Isle and comes from a family of storytellers. She currently resides in a small farm in Northern California with her partner, two children, and a host of farm animals. I love farm life.
Living that life, living the dream. Yep,
Yeah,
every day.
yeah, every single day.
I would have never thought I'd be here, but here I am.
Hold on, before we even get started, the cemeteries. I need more information.
Please.
I that comes from this statement actually um, said by MLK about cemeteries and churches being the most segregated spaces in America. And I went a step further in my discussion to say cemeteries, churches, and romance novels are always are often seen as like there is this type of romance, and that type of romance, and just like bringing those cultures kind of thoughtfully together is something that I've always been really interested in, without like centering whiteness, right, in everything, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's a large space, and it's surprising that before just the last what 5 6 years, that space was really predominantly, just one ethnic group. So I want to start off with a question of why. No, what inspired you to have the audacity, no, to come into the romance genre and take up space? I want to know where that inspiration came.
That's good. That's a great question. For me, honestly, it really started with my kids. Like they would, and I wasn't so much like with the romance genre, but like with young adult novels. Like my daughter came home and she had just read The Hunger Games and she loved it so much, and it just got me thinking like, where are all the heroines that look like her? And they're always the sassy sidekick, or like the comedic relief, or the character that's gonna get your heartstrings so then the author can kill them off. But there was never like the end game. We've got this beautiful like brown character that's just kicking ass and has a happy ending. And so that's where it all honestly and truly started. Was like, you know what, I'm gonna make these books where we all look like our family, and we are winning. We're the villains too, and we're all the things, and we're just being us. And of course, as I started writing, I realized I love romance, and that's just where it took off, really.
I love that you said, and we're the villains too, right? Because there's this entire like embodiment of personhood, right? That I think when you're writing from your perspective that you're allowed to be. We are the good guys and the villains and the cads and the witches and the heroes and the people who deserve a soft place to land, right? I love that. It's rich.
Yeah, that's it. No, and it's real life too. It's we're all the things, and we should be allowed to be all the things and take up all the space.
Come
So
on.
yeah.
Well, I think that's the end of our time here.
Yeah, we're done.
What about you, Nikki?
Honestly, I don't know if I could say it better than Angela. I think I started reading romance, and romance looked very, very white. And I started reading romance when I was young, and they were all so much so that when I was picturing people in my head, I was imagining people and worlds that didn't look like me at all. And I just thought that that was normal. And even when I was starting to write my own stories, I was starting to write stories of people that didn't look like me. And that's when I knew that the work was working. Do you know what I mean? Like your imagination of what is possible, who is worthy of love, who gets the soft place to land at the end, who gets their happy ending. It can be impacted by the media that you consume. And so I just started writing my own stories and writing women, Black women, fat women, women with, all kinds of things going on in their life um, that aren't perfect, that make big mistakes, that are literally fumbling through their life, but still, yet, are the villains of somebody's story, right?
Mm.
But still deserve a happy ending.
Beautifully said too. Both of you coming with the these are quotable moments here. You both speak to the creation of the characters that you make and making them more dynamic. I'm wondering if you can give us a little bit more of that process of what you include, what you take into creating the characters that you create and the characteristics that these characters have. How do you decide what to leave in and what to leave out? And is there anything that, it's a two-part question, is there anything that you ever go, I'm not going to make this character this way because, for whatever reason?
Yeah.
It'll be more palatable. It'll be more acceptable.
I think, I'm an artiste. I'm not like gonna be pretentious about it, but allow me to be pretentious about it. I do think that your character, for it to feel real, it has to tell the truth a little bit, right? And so sometimes when you think about like, I'm not gonna have this character, eating chicken because of representation, because the politics of respectability. I do think that you end up not telling the full truth about a character by thinking always about their parameters. And so when you start off thinking about what they can't do, it's just very hard to build out this expansive character. So much of your character is not on the page anyway. Like, ask any author and they know so much more about their characters than Angela knows more about Mariano than I ever could, even though Mariano is my little boo. You know what I mean? She knows everything about him. And so there's so much that's already there to cut. So like starting with parameters is weird. But for me, I like to start with like the things that are like keeping my characters up at night. So I didn't start off thinking with Pride and Protest that I was like, oh, let's write a book about gentrification. I'm thinking about a woman who is stuck in her cramped DC apartment with her mother, right? And this person is seething and upset, and she has a job and 2 degrees and can't afford her life. She can't afford to have her own place, and she's cramped and she's so uncomfortable. And like, what happens from someone who's like bubbling up and feeling that way? She's really pissed about gentrification, and she's going to become the poster girl for not being able to afford to live in her own neighborhood.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I have to agree with Nikki. Like for me, it was never I should pull back on these characters. I feel like if anything, I wanted to dig deeper and like let them live in their truth, whatever that is. I think the only thing for me was like in a young adult space of like being aware of where they are in their life and like their age, and a lot of it is like discovery and their firsts and all of these things. And so that was like pretty much the only kind of parameter that I gave myself, was like, okay, remember, these are only like 18 to 20-year-olds that are just like exploring life for the very first time, all these things happening. And so that their thought process would be a little bit more immature in a lot of senses, but they've also lived these like deep and vast and sort of horrific lives. And but yeah, truly, like before I even wrote anything on the page, I would play their own like life stories in my head, of who I thought they were, and just like exploring what made them tick and why they would act this way. And so a lot of it just goes back to the backstory and kind of making all of that up first. And it becomes fun to kind of like add these little Easter eggs in your book that no one else will understand or even pick up on, but like, oh, he's doing this because when he was little, he experienced this. And I played a lot with those with one of my characters, Santi in particular. Like I just knew him so much that I knew like every quirk of his and why he was doing the things he did. And I felt like I got to breathe a lot more when I knew, and I could just add these little things in there, and it became fun to explore how I could just like make them act a way I knew that they were supposed to act, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does. No, and I love the passion behind it. Like I want to know everything about these characters.
Yeah.
I have so many questions. I'm trying to like narrow it down because like, look, just pages and pages.
We're gonna be here a while.
No, I'm just like I'm trying to think of the best ones. I'm fascinated with romance authors. I think what you guys do is such a skill. We all know how it's going to end, but you have the task, you have the job to make us fall in love with the characters, mostly the male character. And if you can't do it, usually it's like, oh, I don't feel it. Is there any secret sauce to that? Is there any secret sauce that tricks that you can do to make sure that the reader is falling in love with the guy?
I'm not an expert as much as NIKKI is, because NIKKI PAYNE, PAYNE, she knows how to make you fall in love with her characters. Yeah, I'm working on it.
You did good too.
Oh, come on.
Thank you. But I feel like it was just making them human. And it's not for Mariano in particular in Sinner's Isle. Like I knew his backstory and that he was kind of having to fight against what it is to be a man and what he thought it meant and versus what he really felt it was. And so for him, I think it was like learning to soften himself a little bit in a world that doesn't want you to be that way. And so making him human makes him more likable. At least, I hope I got there with him. But that's, I feel like that's just making him real.
No, you did. And also I feel like the legacy that he was, I don't know if combating is the exact word, but like the legacy of his father, right? And like who he was supposed to be, right? Like that.
Yes.
And I think I'm so sorry. This is not just an Angela TED Talk, but I just think that he became so real because particularly when you're at that age, you are in this point of like, no longer are you just your parents' child. Like you have to come into yourself. And he was right there saying like, I don't have to just be my father's son, right? But there was some cachet, right, in being his father's son a little bit too,
That's it. Damn.
I love you pouring into her right now. You're pouring in. She's like, yes.
Sinner's Isle 8, baby. Sinner's Isle 8. Okay. Don't sleep.
Thank you. I didn't know you read it. Thanks.
Angela, look at me. Did I not DM you in an unhinged way?
I don't remember. Maybe. I'm gonna have to look back at the DMs because now I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, teach us, NIKKI. Teach us how you make your male character soar.
A thing that I like to do, if it is to be called a trick, is to make my male characters pay very precise attention to my heroines. Precise attention. Down to just the smallest little tick and detail. And there's so much intimacy in attention to me. There's so much intimacy in what you choose to focus on. And when there are two people in the room, if anyone has ever been like in a conversation with someone who's just not feeling them, the one thing that you feel is the dearth of attention. And you feel like they're looking at their phone or they're looking off in another direction and you feel it. But when someone is intensely focused on you, you also feel that, and you feel their attention and their knowledge of you. And in all of my books, that the hero's knowledge of the heroine as a result of his attention comes back and loops back around every time, so that the heroine can never forget that he has been paying attention to her from the beginning. And it's just a feeling that you get. And you're just like, I gotta run off into the sunset with him. You know what I mean? There's no other choice. You know?
Love that.
Liz, I'm like invested. So invested.
Yeah. I love that. I love that so much. That is it right there. Like it is that little whatever. They just pick up on this one thing that the character has mentioned or says and they go for it. Oh, I love it. Yeah. That's good.
How do you navigate the fine lines of portraying healthy romantic relationships and acknowledging the realities of conflict? Or is there no good romance book without conflict?
Go ahead, Nikki. Go.
I was just gonna say, like, I'll use my Sex, Lies, and Sensibility. Like, it's a little messy. It's a little messy, and the hero is not like making all the right decisions. For a long part of the book, he is not making the right decisions, and I think, like to Angela's point, like making them human, but also like giving them windows for like seeing another way out, another way around what they see as their only solution. So I think the conflict is necessary, because honestly, the genre, like romance is like mystery, right? Like there's gonna be a body and it's gonna be solved, right? So like in romance as well, like there's going to be a conclusion that it ends up well, but it has to be from the beginning where you say, how can these two individuals in this particular situation actually ever make it? That's the whole mystery. So I think conflict is baked into the bread of how we have to do the genre. Otherwise, it's just like, oh, it's obvious. They're like boy next door, girl next door. They met each other. Like no one's gonna read that.
Yeah, why would I continue reading, right? Like,
Yes. No, that's it. It's baked in the bread. I love that. I love that. That's a quote right there. 100%. Conflict with each other, with the outside world, with so many things. I feel like makes for a better romance. It's like, and the two characters on their own, having conflicts with whatever it is and growing. And I feel like the only way to grow as a human sometimes is conflict, which I hate for myself. But like with Sinner's Isle in particular, like they really didn't care for each other at first. And there were so many things happening in their lives, in their worlds. And so that conflict was just naturally gonna happen. And I feel like because it was, sort of a soulmates trope situation, a lot of the conflict that like I love in stories wasn't there so much because once it clicked, it was like, okay, we've got this. And so adding different sorts of conflict made the tension, up its game because there was other things happening. But yeah, I think that's my favorite part in romance is like that battling against each other or whatever it is, and then finding a way through. I love it. I love it so much. I love the angst.
The angst. We're here.
We need it.
People are like loyal when it comes to their characters in romance novels. I'm wondering if you guys had any interesting interactions with fans.
I'm sure Nikki's had lots. People go hard for your.
They do.
I love it. I love seeing it.
Maybe you can give us a few, just one or two.
Well, people go very hard. So I would say for Sex, Lies, and Sensibility, they have very deep, angry feelings about Felicia. They want Felicia's head on a like. They literally said, like, I want you to write a book where it's just a comeuppance book for Felicia. Like we just want to read an entire book of her just falling into puddles and her charger being too short just like her socks rolling down in her shoe. Like we want an entire book of just Felicia's misfortunes, um, I've gotten that. A lot of people have um, because the books are Jane Austen and the side characters are like their own characters. They obviously ask for Yan and Brandon. They go, oh, something happened in the background there. Now I want this whole story again from their POV. Or so people get attached to characters. I think people are people are having strong reactions to Bear as I knew they would, but I had a strong reaction to Bear. So I think that feels good when people are responding in the same way I responded while writing him.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, for me, the side characters were the thing.
Santi,
Yes,
come on.
he's
She said,
like,
come on.
and I knew it. I knew I was writing a good character.
Come on, baby. Come on, baby.
I knew. I was like, oh, I've got it. I hit it. Like he's the one. And people have slid into my DMs that I don't know, and I love it. I love it so much. Yeah, I get asked often if I'm gonna do like a Santi novella or something, just something with him. And I'm terrified. I'm so scared that I will like get him wrong if I write him more. But I've been fiddling
Santi
and
can never be wrong. He can never go wrong.
you just can't. Yeah. So yeah, that it's been really fun, like the side characters getting a light shown on them. And I've had like some interesting ships between characters that I would have never expected or thought would get together. And so I'm like, sure. So yeah, so it's fun. It's really interesting that people go so hard for the side characters, but I get it because they're fun. They're great.
If you can choose a song that can get you in the mood of your book, what would that song be?
Angela, you have to go first.
Okay. For me, it's and I don't know if it's like two-way or two WEI, but it's like this group that like remixes songs, and it's Survivor. And it's like a theatrical version of it. And it's yes, like when during Pitch Wars, I would listen the mentorship that we've Nikki and I have been a part of. I listened to that track over and over and over again. And I think it was like my what year was that? 2021, 2020. It was like my top listened to song. I listened to that thing on repeat, and I would just like play the scenes in my head and pretend I was like it was a movie. And yeah, it just hit. It's so dramatic, and Survivor is a perfect song for the book. So yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I would say I had an album. I was really in a Whitney Houston power ballad space. So, I mean, if you read the book and know the story of Sense and Sensibility, didn't we almost have it all? It kept, just you'll never love that way again, right? And it was just so like in that moment where I knew I had to like break some hearts. That was the song that kept rolling in. But in that same album, like Love is a Contact Sport, this is like Whitney Houston B side of the, this is on the other side of the album. You know what I mean? Yeah, like that whole album was just her with power ballads, feeling things so deeply. And yeah, so that whole, I think the album was called Whitney, and she's just like in a white shirt and she's like looking cute. I don't know. It's a blue background and she has jeans on, and it's great.
Dance with Somebody? No.
Dance with Somebody's on there. Dance with Somebody's on the album, right? So it's joy, but it's also like this deep well of like powerful emotional feelings. That whole album was just, that's it. That's it. That's the album. I never loved that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sing it.
I'm up here like microphone. Yeah.
Record.
Yeah. There's also a fair amount of fair amount of incredibly begging ass Jodeci. You know what I mean? Just as a rule, you know what I mean? Just any time in the 90s where a boy group was like begging for someone's love and affection, I played it, you know? Fiendin', Freaking You, it's like Cry for You, they're all like emblematic of how bad I wanted Bear to be begging. And that's it. That's it.
I just imagine Bear, you know, when they leave the voicemail over
Yeah,
the music
yeah.
playing slowly.
Yes, it's been an hour since you've been gone. You know? Come on.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
I just warn you, like if you don't want just a begging ass, close the book. You know what I mean? Don't start the book. Okay? If begging makes you uncomfortable, close the book. Okay?
Give it.
How much influence do your characters sort of leak into your real life?
Ooh.
She's like, not at all. She gave me the not at all face.
Yeah, the look on her face.
But it's either the not at all or the all the time look. I don't know.
I think it's giving not at all. Like
Okay.
I wish that I could, you know, turn these characters into real things that can like come and sit and hang out with me in that way. But I feel like I am the complete engine of their existence. You know what I mean? Like if I went to sleep, I'm just like, you know, big like ceases to exist. But outside my head, you know?
I'm talking even comparisons to people in real life.
Oh.
Can you look at people and be like, I see a little bit of Bear in him, or I see a little bit of, are you making comparisons to people in real life?
I had all my family sign an NDA. So, like the one thing I will say is that my husband and I have had the very same argument that Bear and Nora have about LeBron versus Michael Jordan. This is a real argument that we have had in real life in Pride and Protest, a real argument about Aang and Katara, about why the hell that was the ship. Why? Okay. It should have been Zuko. Everybody knows that, right? But that was those heated conversations or debates. Sometimes I enliven my characters with those conversations.
I love that those are the heated conversations you had. Those are the heated debates. Like,
Yeah.
And it makes sense, as they should be. Those are some heavy conversations to have. Yeah. I think for me, like I feel like I put myself into a lot of the characters in Sinner's Isle and in my second book that I've been working on. And more so like the new book I'm working on, it's like a very big family. It's they're very messy and noisy but they, at the heart of it, they love each other. And so I feel like that in particular is like right in line with what I live on the daily. And but yeah, I feel like with characters like Santi, I did put a lot of my own personality in, which that's why we all love him. It's because it's me.
Oh.
No, but I felt like, you know,
Right,
it's me. It's actually me. I am. But like I feel like I understood him a lot because I do the same thing where you experience like trauma in life, and so you immediately want to soothe that over with humor.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a thing that I probably have to work on, but it's my first like jump is to, as soon as something sad happens, is like make a bad joke. And you know, it's gotten me in trouble. So I'm working on it. But like I feel a lot of that influence in these different characters that I've written. Yeah. So, and as far as like any villains, nah, you know, here and there, we've, you know, a little bit here and there. I think my male villain in Sinner's Isle was just sleazy men.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was an easy one, you know. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's an easy
Yeah.
one.
It was too easy.
Yeah.
Too easy.
It'd be nice if it was a little harder.
Yeah.
I love that you guys make such dynamic characters for your stories that just so happen to be, you know, Black or just so happen to be. But And I understand that you also want everybody to see themselves in these characters. How is it that you then add just a little bit of that cultural influence, or in what ways do you add that little bit of cultural influence despite the era or despite the genre?
I think for me it's easy because like there's language usage that we can shift into adding Spanish and um, food, and I think it's just like in just a natural way of being for many of the characters that are. My whole cast is it's a Latina cast of
Mm.
characters, and so I think it just breathes into the page of culture. And yeah, so I was lucky, and I felt really, really blessed that my imprint, Joy Revolution, which their entire thing is like having authors of color write characters of color just falling in love and doing all the things. And so they were like, if anything, let's add more. Let's dig in more to what kind of foods we're eating, like culturally, what are we doing here? Like, what are, so all the things. So I felt very celebrated in, all the things. And it's my second book is it's a vampire book, and it's based like uh it's like Alta California. So California before was part of the American Empire, when it was part of the Mexican Empire. And so, digging into like the rancheros and all of the, lifestyles. It was really, really fun, a lot of research. And so we just went for it. And yeah, I love it. It's fun.
This YA.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, that's fine. I'll still read it.
We just adjust this.
I think also that we have been fed a bill of goods a little bit about what types of stories can be universal. I think we are kind of taught to believe that anyone can transplant themselves into white stories, and that white stories have this sort of mass appeal. But as soon as there are um, like Latinx characters or Black characters, it becomes like niche work somehow. And pushing back against that, I think that the stories, one of the reasons why I love retelling Jane Austen or classic stories, is because at the heart of it is it's a kind of Trojan horse. It's a Trojan horse. Like these types of stories live in the white imaginary as universal themes, right? And what happens when you change the subjectivity, when you change the bodies associated with this major story? Well, actually, like not a lot. Those themes stay, right? And those people in these situations act in the same way this person would as well. Maybe they all deserve some sense of humanity. And so like this whole idea that that they are fully blackety black, and yet how did you make them universal is like it almost owns the notion that someone can't be blackety black, or Latiny Latin, you know what I mean? And still be a completely universal character with the same desires and wants that anyone could want,
That's so beautifully said. And I say
Yeah.
this all the time, but not that well. Goodness.
Thank you.
That's good.
Yeah, you're giving us quotes, okay? I always say, like, when someone says, oh, I never imagined, someone told me they didn't think that Black Americans read. And I was like, huh? What you think of, whatever idea you think of, is probably the minority. The majority of people do those things.
Yeah.
The majority of people do go to the library. They do read books. They do this. But whatever you think is like, oh, I'm not familiar, I've never seen, it's probably the minority. So I love the way you said it, though. It's beautifully said. Do you guys find writing romance therapeutic, cathartic? Like I just need to get out my stress and then I write? Yes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I have my day job, and then By the nighttime, by the evening, I'm like, okay, my only worry is to try to make these two people kiss. Now, like, let's see about it, and you like kind of get into their business, or you're trying to thwart them kissing when they're unhinged, So like, yeah, it becomes my only problem, which is honestly a joy,
Oh, yeah. That's a good problem to have, 100%. Yeah, I think like writing in general is such a just a blessing and a privilege because if you don't have the headspace to be able to sit down and do it, and if the world we live in is so hard, and so to be able to have the space and the mental capacity to write is such a beautiful privilege to have. um so every morning I try to get up like at 5 and it's nice and quiet, and that's when I really just like have this, it's like magical me time where I'm just have my laptop and these characters. And yeah, the whole thing is to try and just get them to kiss. And it's so fun to explore like different worlds and lives, and truly I'm such like a scaredy cat just in general in life, and like so like much anxiety about everything. And so to get to put these characters through, through all of it, through the ringer, and watch them fight it out and find love and joy and happiness, without is like I get to live it and breathe it, but I don't have to do it, which is really nice. I don't have to have the trauma along with it. I get to just watch how they um breathe and work through it. And it feels like therapy in so many ways. And I think even with like young adult in particular, like first loves, making it more where it's like exploring the sweet sort of love, and exploring like consent and like deeper issues when it comes to being like young and having this body, especially like for like Latina women in particular, it feels like it's so much about our bodies. Like all the focus is about our bodies and our hips and all the things that we have. And I wanted to focus on like that with Rosa as well. Like a lot of it is her power, but that translate to for me was like with her body, and watching this pirate that's a scoundrel be sweet and kind and gentle, was like so beautiful, and truly was like therapeutic. And I was like, you know what, we all deserve to have broody pirates that are just like, can I touch you, can I hold you, and so yeah, it's such a great escape to be able to write these stories and give us what we wanted and want.
Right. Nikki, do you have any advice? Were you anxious when your debut came out? Did you have any feelings of anxiety or?
Oh, I was nothing but anxious. Like I literally probably have to apologize to my family. Like the 2 weeks leading up to, I was sure that it was going to bomb. That I would go to all of my events and it would be tumbleweeds, and I would just be talking to the moderator, and just like we'd just be having a chit chat, and she'd be looking around like, wow, you're really uncool. Like every single thing that you could imagine I was thinking before the wind up. Like, and it wasn't like when I had one successful event that I would just be like, okay, my events are gonna be fine. No, after that, the second event was just like, okay, this is the one where no one's gonna come, or this is the instance where nothing is going to, or the numbers aren't gonna be there. And so there's always a reason to feel anxiety, and I felt all of them. I felt all of them. I'm never chill coming into like at the start of a release. I'm an anxiety monster.
Okay, because I was
Nice.
going to ask, is it better now? And you're saying it's the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever go to an event and feel like, I don't know, maybe like if I'm just like Stephen King, I'm just like, okay, it doesn't matter, But I don't know if I'm ever gonna go to an event and not feel that anxiety of just like I'm not a big enough name for anyone
Mm.
to show up to this thing, you know? So yeah, I just feel like it's always gonna be with me. It's my little negative Nelly passenger, you know? and she's gonna tell me, don't get too big for your britches. Yeah.
Someone
Should
else
take
told me
her.
that.
Yeah.
Someone
Take her
said
on
it-
a ride with you, right? You're just
Yeah.
gonna come on with me and watch me shine.
Yeah. 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 So the anxiety, I don't think it ever goes away.
bad. I'm waiting for it to go away. But someone said it keeps them humble. It makes sure they doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a jerk, and she keeps me. If there'll be a room full of people, and they'd be like, and she would say like, "Oh, they came for your conversation partner," like like literally anything she can do to just like yeah.
Is this what you always thought you would be writing? Did you think you would be writing these types of novels?
I mean, I started out with writing young adult fantasy just because it's what like. I just loved it. I mean, it was one of the things. One of my sisters is much younger than me. She's 12 years younger than me, and we bonded over like young adult fantasy novels, like all and paranormal, obviously, and dystopian, anything young adult, like in that era of what was that, like early 2000s. And they were some hitters. There were some hitters. And so we bonded so hard over these books, and we'd go to like the midnight premieres of Divergent and all of the things. And so it was like the only thing I thought I could write. And so I just wrote it. And now that I've got, two books under my belt, the second one hasn't obviously come out yet, but I feel like I can explore different things, but I feel like living in like the fantasy, like paranormal, other world is what I really love. I just love diving into like make believe characters. So we'll see. I do want to try adult romantasy soon. So
Ooh.
yeah, a little sexy time.
Come on, sis. Come on, sis. We're waiting for you. Okay. Dirty Table's waiting for you.
Good. I'm ready. I'm coming. I'm coming.
I wrote exclusively sci-fi. Before I was just hands down sci-fi. I wrote like a ton of Afrofuturist books, and nobody wanted them. Nobody cared. I was querying for 100 years, and it was no, 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 no. And I literally wrote Pride and Protest because I wanted to feel some joy in my writing. I wanted to feel happy about what I was writing. It was literally me writing for my own joy and trying to do something against that wall of nobody wants your writing. And it was this experiment in joy, and it kept going and it kept going. And then I finished it, and I'm just like, well, wasn't this a riot? And then I applied for Pitch Wars. It was literally, I finished it and applied for Pitch Wars. I don't know, within 2 weeks. And then all of that happened. And, and here I am. And at the heart, it's weird to tell people like, oh, what do you write? I was like, ooh, kind of exclusively sci-fi. But you know what I mean? Fan fiction has always been, particularly Jane Austen fan fiction. We call it JAF. I have always written it, but it's always been in space. So, so this is interesting to be here in the contemporary world, in the real world today, writing Jane Austen.
Do you think you'll ever try to do some sci-fi? Like,
I think I would love. I'm doing a little program, Futurescapes, where I'm just kind of meeting some people, finding some, like, I don't know why it keeps getting no's. Like, I'm thinking maybe there's something I need to work on, but I just don't know what I need to work on. When I read it, I love it, but I'm an asshole. So I don't know. I don't know if that's right, or I feel like I don't trust my thinking or my gut on that aspect of the work because it's just been so summarily knowed. So yeah, so yeah.
I feel like what you got is a God sign. Here you write something that you love, you put it out there, and within 2 weeks, you're already there. It's going to get you to that perfect spot, and then you can release whatever you want, and people will eat it up. You're going to have that built-in audience, and they're going to eat up whatever you put out.
Yeah, that's my goal, because maybe it's terrible, and I need them to eat it up no matter what. I need them to die.
I refuse to believe that. I refuse to believe it.
Look, I'm like, where should I go? Was your family always supportive? Friends and family always supportive of your writing? Did you have some
Mine
naysayers like, no, this ain't for you?
Mine was always really supportive. I come from a family of writers, so um, but truthfully, I never thought it was something I could do. It was never even really a thought in my head until my partner suggested it because I was kind of in this weird headspace. I didn't know what I was doing in life, and he was like, "Well, your family writes. You love books. Why don't you just try it?"
Mhm.
And so it's his fault. I'm here. Yeah, thank you. And but no, they've all been so supportive. It's it's been amazing. It's really cool. Yeah, I'm happy.
No, my family has been really supportive. My kids don't care. Okay. My kids could care less. But but no, my family's been really supportive. One of the the stories that I love to tell was that when me and my husband were just out of school and we were living in my mother-in-law's basement, however spacious, it was a basement and we didn't have anything. And he put this writing conference in New York on his credit card for me,
Mm.
and we had nothing. And in retrospect, it's just like this was not a financially sound decision, but it was like one of those I really believe in this for you decisions. And this was, of course, when I was writing my sci-fi that nobody wanted. So there was no real evidence that my writing was good. You know what I mean? It was a bunch of notes. There's no real proof. And it would still be years until I got an agent. And so I think of that moment of just like someone pouring into you and
Mm.
there was nothing. So when I think of support, I think of that moment when there was really nothing, and he still said, "Go to this writing conference. Maybe you'll make a connection."
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. What do you, when you look to the future, what are your goals for your writing career? Where do you see this going? And to add to that, what do you want the legacy to be? What's the goal for, like, what do you want people to get from this, the projects that you're writing? I'm fumbling over my words because I'm
No, perfect. For me, my goals always shift. Like I feel like as I'm just growing as a human and life changes, but truly like like in my deepest heart of hearts, I just want to be able to continue to write
Mm.
and create stories, whatever that looks like. Obviously, it'd be great to be paid for them and to be able to like afford the mental space to continue on. But for me, I just want to get better at my craft every day in any way I can. Um, like I remember when I first started and, the advice was like, "Oh, get your author platform going, get the followers, and then the rest will come." And so like at first I was like, "Oh, that's okay. I
It's
got to do
weird.
whatever." Yeah, I was like, "Okay, I'm going with it." Like, "Okay, I'll start my Instagram, I'll do all these things." Um and and because I was doing that, I was neglecting the work, but the work is what's important and it's what's valuable, and the followers will find you because they value your work.
Come on.
And so for me it's not about a following, it's about like doing the work.
Well,
And so for me, I just want to be able to write stories that make people feel just anything happy. I want to make them laugh. I want to make them cry would be great. I'd love that for me. Like all the things. I just want to help people escape or think about issues, feel love. Truly, that's all I really want. Um, and so that's what I want for my legacy to be as well, is like she put in the work and she kept getting better. And I just hope that with each book I get better and I learn. And yeah, so fingers crossed. Fingers crossed it works out.
That is so beautiful. Yeah, I something this is like I'm gonna name drop here, but this is this isn't really a name drop. It was just a panel. Like she didn't know me. She's just like at the time she didn't know me. But I was in a panel with Jodi Picoult, and someone said, what do you suggest for authors just starting out? And she said, you've already written the book, whatever, that's already happened. Now go out and build relationships. She said, build relationships with booksellers, build relationships with other authors, build a foundation. Like take that entire year while your work is petering out and finding its readers. That, to Angela's point, they will find you and come to you once they find your book, etc. But you do all you can to build a strong foundation with your community and a strong foundation with the bookseller world. And I took that time from when Pride and Protest came out in November to the next November. I told my colleagues, I'm like, I'm going to do like this year of yes. When someone asks me to do something or go somewhere or do something, no matter how small, I'm going to do it. I'm going to engage. I'm going to actively read people's work. I'm going to talk to them about it. And I think even now, like the second book feels different because I feel like I've built this relationship with people. All of this to say, I feel like I'm getting long-winded, but like when Angela was like talking about like doing the work, I would also add to that is just like build the relationships, because they will sustain you when a book doesn't do as well as you think, and they will also be clapping for you when it knocks it out of the park. And it's and no one kind of knows what's actually happening on the inside but those people. So build those relationships.
I think that's amazing advice. It wasn't long-winded at all. I think people need to hear how important it is to have community
Mm,
and how that plays a key role in mental health.
yeah.
I
Yep.
will add, look, she said, yeah, I will add though, do you find it difficult or does it take extra effort to communicate with people virtually since a lot of people don't live necessarily very close to each other? Is it like, I like this picture? Is it just like commenting? Because I struggle. I'm like, I dislike social media, but I participate because I feel like we have to.
Uh,
And
Yeah.
I feel like the role for writers, the
mhm.
future of social media in our work is great and it's far beyond anything we can imagine. So is there a difference between your virtual relationships versus your real life relationships when it comes to your writing buddies and partners?
I I think you can tell like Angela and I were virtual friends. Like we'd only been just kind of DMing and just like screaming in each other's, comments for 2 years maybe. But I
Wow.
do feel like there you can still catch a vibe because I knew when I met Angela that there would be a vibe. Like to me, I was never thinking like, ooh, what if Angela's weird? Do you know what I mean? Like, no. Like I knew, like as soon as I saw her, I was
Yeah.
just like weird friendos, and I don't know what to tell you. I don't make the rules. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I think social media is complex. I personally have committed to ensuring that whatever I'm doing for social media is as ridiculous as I feel. And that's one of the things that's taken the pressure off of like having to like perform because I'm just putting like Nicki Minaj sounds onto like Jane Austen. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm just bullshit. I'm just bullshit here. You know what I mean? Like I'm really just goofing off in the way that I would goof off for free on a real account. Do you know what I mean? And so I have really tried to like take off that pressure of just like, oh, you have to build this audience and comment on this or whatever. I just make unhinged fan cast and like and Jane Austen memes. That's who it was. that's what my account was before I was an author. I promise you. Okay. I promise you nothing has changed. You know, you look at it from the beginning, it's just Jane Austen memes, you know? And yeah, so I just try to focus on what I would have been doing on an account anyway, you know?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love when you post because it's always like it hits every time. It's hilarious. It's perfect. But yeah, like I feel the same way. Like when you do give up this like idea of okay, I need to post whatever, you know, will get the algorithm going. When I feel like for me personally, like when I let that go and just had fun with it, that's when I found people that I really vibed with the most. And just people to laugh with about things, to share posts with. And yeah, I feel like once you release the business side and just enjoy it, um, it really truly opens up like the floodgates of finding your kind of people.
Yeah.
And
That's the
I
thing.
love that.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
thing that happens, that you find people with your same level of weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it right there. And those are the people that I love to follow and just scream at in their DMs or whatever it is. And then you kind of slowly build these bonds over just being ridiculous.
Yes.
And I love it. And of course it's different for everybody because everybody's personalities work differently and their minds work differently. But like I feel like because I was able to just scream at people over ridiculous Jane Austen, you know, Nicki Minaj cuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like I was like, yes, that's my girl right there. Like that's who I want to follow because
Yeah.
she's like me. She's as
Yeah.
ridiculous as me, and I love it.
That. That's exactly like I like spent my life just like clicking like on air. Like sometimes I'm just like, I wonder if she knows how deeply obsessed I am. Cause it's like Nikki Payne, like Nikki Payne, like Nikki Payne, like just it's so fresh, it's so funny. And it's also just really real and authentic. You know, she's just coming on there having fun and you can tell.
And you can tell it's exactly. It's her personality in real life on camera. She's not really pretending to be anybody else.
Yeah.
Going hard.
Going
living
on.
life.
No, you're the sweetest too, though. So, Angela, you missed it, but at the end, I love to give you guys the opportunity to ask each other one question. And I know Nikki already wrote hers down, so I'm going to let her go first.
Okay.
But you can think of one too.
Okay.
Okay. You know that Mariana is my teen boo. I don't want to talk about the age gap, but you know. Okay. I just find that you write with so much energy and also surprise. And I'm currently writing a murder mystery right now, and I would really love to hear from you about how you keep secrets from the reader, like how, like, honestly, like the technique of holding back with it still being fair play, right?
Ooh, yeah. Oh, what a good question.
You know what you did. I don't want to give anything away, but you know what you did.
Yeah, I feel like because I knew because there's a big secret in Sinner's Isle, and I knew this secret before I wrote anything. I knew it as soon as I saw these characters, I knew who they were to each other. And I wanted this secret to be like a big shocking thing. Um and so I just kept building up to it and I don't know how you do it right, but I felt like I would put the tiniest hints here and there, but they were so small that you could easily miss them. And but if you went back and you're like, "Oh, bitch. Oh, sorry. Oh, girl." You know, like you'd be like, "Oh, yes, it's right there. I missed it. It's right there." And so for me, like sprinkling the tiniest things that only would make sense when you look back,
Yeah.
um, felt like made this reveal so much more fun because I got to tease a little bit as I went. But yeah, not enough where people are like, I knew it.
Yeah.
There's been a few people in my DMs that are like, I knew it the whole time. I'm like, no, you didn't.
No,
There's no
you
possible way. Damn you.
didn't.
Um, but yeah, I think for me it was just like I worked to make it look easy in
Yeah.
those little moments.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I love that. Little
oh,
breadcrumbs, little nuggets.
little tiny little here and there.
Yeah.
Well, okay, my question would be like, can you tell us what you are working on now? Like, can you tell us a little hint about it?
I can. If you all have read Pride and Protest, you may recognize a character that I'm writing now. He is a detective now, and he grown, baby. Baby, he's grown. And this is Maurice. He has his own story, and he has to work with an unhinged crime documentary junkie who thinks she knows who did the murder when in fact she is unhinged and ridiculous. So that's the story.
Oh my god. Is it another like retelling or is it just a
It
new
is it's weird. Okay, so it is a retelling. I think anyone who is a Jane Austen fan will immediately even recognize the setup as Northanger Abbey. You know what I mean? But and I have these little things in there that are just like, does Maurice know a ton about muslin? Absolutely. You know what I mean? Like, are the jokes there? Absolutely. But I think it's for the diehards. Like the diehard Jane Austens will know that it's a Northanger Abbey retelling. But if you've never heard of Northanger Abbey, which I feel like is most people, then you aren't. My thing is like, I don't think people are gonna run out to say, "Oh, Northanger Abbey,"
yeah.
like they would for Pride and Prejudice. But if you give it a chance, you'll recognize that it is a fun retelling, and Northanger Abbey is one of her funniest stories because she's just like dunking on all these hilarious people. But yeah, so it is a Northanger Abbey retelling, but it's light,
My god. Oh yes. I'm excited.
I'm gonna add a few fire questions because I'm super curious about a few of these. So I'm gonna give you one or the other. Choose one. Tell me which one. Yeah. I'm gonna start since we're talking Pride and Prejudice and Jane Austen. Is it the docuseries or the movie? When you're going for?
How dare
Movie.
Movie.
you trying to get us canceled, Karis?
Yeah.
Okay. I have to be politic about this, obviously. This is a very tense in my community. Okay. I'm gonna say for the swoon, 2005. For the swoon. For the swoon. For the luxuriating in Jane Austen, 1995. Nothing feels like you are in Jane Austen's world more than 1995. But the swoon, the romance, the stomach dropping, 2005.
Ooh, it's good.
That's good. That's a good answer. Nice, politically correct answer.
I'm right there in the middle. Okay. Vote for me, folks. Okay.
I'd vote for you. I would.
Okay.
Pirate or cowboy?
Ooh.
Pirate.
Now this one's actually this is kind of hard. Oh, sorry. One of my nails is gone. Let me put that down there.
Because are you writing about vaqueros in this second book?
Yeah. But I'm gonna go with pirate because I did so much pirate research. We love pirates. Sometimes, not all. Some are really bad. Most are bad. Okay, never mind. They're bad, but sexy pirates, yes.
Sexy pirates, absolutely. As a rule.
Yeah.
Guys with ponytails, long curly hair, or buzz cut?
Man buns.
Man buns.
Man
Man buns.
Yeah.
Long curly? I'm gonna go with long curly hair.
Ooh, come on, Slash. Come on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Slash. That might be too long.
That's too much.
But I'll take it. I'll take it.
The 70s. She's This one's a little more weird, but astrology or psychology?
Astrology.
As in, like, as a way to know someone?
I like how you asked a follow-up, and I was like, astrology. Yeah.
Okay, done. That's an easy one. She's like, I need more information before I.
Okay. I'm gonna go with psychology because it's it's a human social science, and I trust it better to like to profile a killer than say oh he's a Scorpio. you know?
But it tells you so much.
It does honestly. Same dick, honestly.
My goodness. Crying real tears. Look, I have more, but I'm going to end it right there.
This was great.
I am so appreciative. Thank you so much for trusting me, coming to this virtual meeting. It is a lovely time. Thank you guys for watching the panel. If you guys stick around, we'll go into the green room and we can chat a little bit more before you go. But thank you guys for tuning in. Please check out the website, www.liftedunited.com, for upcoming events. There will be more, especially next month. And we hope to see you guys soon. Say bye to Nikki and Angela. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you for
But
hanging out.
don't really go anywhere.